right, so let's talk about what is new with Google. So, I have a couple things, and some, don't matter as much for us. But let's start with Chromebooks. Uh, they're doing some things to optimize some features on Chromebooks, and this will affect mostly incoming freshmen, anyone who might get new Chromebooks moving forward. And some of these features will depend on the model of Chromebook, but they are including a lot of really great information, the ability to take better screenshots. And that'll really help accessibility for the students who might not have access to a smartphone. They'll be able to screen record without needing a third party tool or an extension. There'll be bigger accessibility features, captioning and translating, as well as the potential to write on the screen and annotate. So there are some really neat improvements being made to Chromebooks in general, but let's get on to some more pressing things. Now, for Google Drive updates of this slide, I really think the most important one is Jamboard. So those of you that like to integrate Jamboard within your Meet as a whiteboard or interactive space, you're going to be able to track revisions and revert changes just like you could in any of your typical docs, slides, and sheets. The bottom two features are really more for IT than we might care about, but the Jamboard is a big update to Google Drive. And finally, the big ticket item, Google Meet updates. Multiple meeting moderators. Not only is that an amazing alliteration, but now you don't have to race to beat your co-teacher to see who's going to be the organizer that day. Teachers that enter the Meet will all have the ability to have the host controls, which for the push-in classes is going to offer a huge amount of support, which I think is going to be a great feature. We don't care as much about the virtual meeting rosters because we're not using Google Classroom, but the scheduled breakout rooms, those are going to be a great feature. Now, I am curious to see how that's going to work out since we are not using Google Classroom. It's going to work through your calendar, but how those lists populate, I'm going to be really curious to see the interface for that as we learn more. But finally, the improved classroom management controls, the ability in one swoop to remove everybody so that you can close out the room, mute everybody, decide if people can unmute themselves, and even including reactions that allow them to choose the tone or color of the thumbs up emoji. So when we look at some of the other features that I think are really important, they're actually making tremendous improvements to Meet so that we're not seeing issues with low bandwidth. So if you have students who complained about getting kicked out a lot, or and usually it's because of their Wi-Fi at home, they're working on ways to kind of streamline the processing so that it's not too heavy of a load on somebody's Wi-Fi or computer processing speeds. Here are some of the view of some of those features. So now you can see there's going to be the ability to mute everybody, the ability to close out and kick everybody out, right? The ability to decide if people can unmute themselves. So you're going to see some of those functionalities working in here. Another really cool update, if you're someone who also runs off of an iPad, or if you ever had to run off of your smartphone, you typically don't see the host controls. So now they're actually building in the host controls to the mobile version of Meet. And here were the emojis, as well as the ability to change the tone of the skin is another new feature for inclusivity. So now you'll have all of those features, including the raise hand, and that'll be down in that bar where the raise hand is currently located. And so those are a lot of the features that I hope you're looking forward to. Now, remember, it's like movie rollouts. They start in LA and New York, and then it comes to a theater near you. So just keep your eyes peeled, stay tuned. And sometimes those updates are slow, so your neighbor might get it before you get it. So just kind of keep your eye out for those and be ready. And let me know if you have any questions.